Howdy, folks. Mackenzie Taylor here with Tim O'Hare, the Republican nominee for Tarrant County Judge. Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
It is always a pleasure to be with y'all.
Oh, thank you. So first, I want to talk about the role of the county judge. A lot of folks think it's a judicial position, but talk to us about what the county judge actually does.
Well, prior to the pandemic, almost no one other than political insiders really knew what the county judge does. After the pandemic, with the emergency management powers and the shutdown of all the businesses and the churches, now lots of folks know what the county judge is, know how important it is. It presides over the commissioner's court. Every county in Texas, all 254 of them, have the county government side of the government is controlled by this commissioner's court, which is a county judge and 4 county commissioners. So it takes 3 votes to get anything done on the commissioner's court. And county government, for those that hadn't put 2 and 2 together on this or thought about it, county government would be the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office, the tax assessor's office, the district clerk, the county clerk. And for a lot of counties in Texas, there's a lot of rural areas where the sheriff's department actually provides the policing, not like cities. In Tarrant County, the sheriff's department also provides some policing, so there's a big law and order component to it. And then the commissioner's court, especially in Tarrant County, sets 2 different tax rates. Sets the county property tax rate and then sets the hospital district property tax rate. So Tarrant County, when you combine those 2, I call it the combined county rate, has the 5th or 6th highest county tax rate in the state of Texas. So that's one of the things that I campaigned on that we've got to bring down. I think everybody knows property taxes are out of control all over the state, and each little governmental entity has to do their part. So county government, in addition to the things I described, county judge has the emergency management authority and it's a pretty powerful position. In fact, you could argue outside of the governor, that's probably the most powerful executive position, a county judge in the county.
Well, certainly after COVID, yeah. After COVID, a lot of folks started to know who their county judges were and pay attention to the orders that were coming from there. It's like the executive of the county, right?
That's exactly kind of how that county works. Mayor is probably a better way to describe it.
Exactly.
And then, as you alluded to earlier, in Tarrant County, the county judge provides no judicial functions, doesn't sit in a robe, doesn't hear trials. In some counties across the state, county judges actually do some probate judicial work. Just it doesn't happen that way in Tarrant County.
Got it. So your campaign was fascinating for a lot of reasons. There was a very politically divisive campaign, but you were running against somebody who was very familiar to a lot of Tarrant County residents, and you still came out on top. Talk to us a little bit about the political dynamics that were at play in your campaign.
Sure. So we had 5 people in the race, and the 2 most known, if you will, were my opponent, my primary opponent, which was Betsy Price, the former mayor of Fort Worth and former tax assessor of Tarrant County. And then I had been mayor in Farmers Branch, which is actually in Dallas County, where I was born and raised. And then I was the party chair for 2 years. So she had way more name ID than I did. But our campaign focused on what matters to today's Republican primary voter. And fortunately, what matters to the majority of today's Republican primary voter aligns with my beliefs and values, to a T. So we talked about taking back our country, and we talked about stopping the garbage that's being taught in our schools and the pornography in the libraries and stopping CRT. And for those that don't know, I was one of the leaders of the effort in Southlake to get critical race theory out of our school district and to overturn that school board. And after we were successful doing that in May of 21, other people from school districts around Tarrant County, around the Metroplex, and really some around the country came to us and said, how did you do it? What did you do? And we showed them the model. Well, fast forward to May of 22, and multiple school boards were taken over by more conservative candidates in Tarrant County, Keller ISD, Mansfield ISD, Grapevine Colleyville ISD, and they followed the model that we created in Southlake. So we talked about those things that matter today. We talked about our country is an amazing country, and we've got to fight to keep it, and there's another side that doesn't love our country. And it was great when in the 80s when we had two parties that loved America and thought America was the greatest place in the history of the world. Well, we don't have that anymore. We have one that, by and large, the people that are pushing that party hate our country. And then we have a party, my party, the Republican Party, that still loves our country and wants to fight for us. So that's what we talked about, and it resonated with voters. What was cool is in that 5-person race, we got 57% of the vote. But in Fort Worth, where she was mayor for a decade, we actually won Fort Worth outright with 52.4% to her 38.4%.
Wow.
So voters responded, and it was just a really neat thing to be a part of. I really believe that there is a movement going on, not just in our county, but really across the country, that is saying enough's enough. We're not going to let this happen to our country anymore, and we're going to stand up and fight. I'm seeing more people stand up and fight in school board auditoriums, chambers, if you will. I'm seeing more people show up to this. I mean, I was in a SD 10 a little while ago when Dan Patrick came in, and he said, how many of you are first-time attendees? And it was about half the room. I mean, and you go to any of these Republican clubs, and you see new people and people that have never been politically active before. All they've ever done is go vote in Novembers, and now they are coming out and working and volunteering. It's really cool to see, and I think there's going to be a real awakening come November.
What are the biggest issues facing Tarrant County right now?
So one issue is property taxes. So with our property tax rate, the combined rate that I mentioned earlier, I mean, our property taxes are sky high. Now, yes, the county is, not the biggest part of it, but it's still a big part of it. And we've got to do something to get property taxes under control. I've proposed a 20% property tax rate cut. And I'm hearing from folks that, that's going to be difficult. And, well, making cuts and making change always is difficult. But we are taxing people out of their homes. That's a big issue. Another big issue is we got to continue to fight this anti-American, hate our country teaching that's going on in our schools, going on amongst young people. Now, people will say to me, well, what does the county judge have to do with that? Well, the county judge can be a leader in the county, and look no further than Dallas County. There's a guy over there, this county judge, that I probably believe the polar opposite of every single political belief that he has. However, he's done an incredible job of getting people in that county to swing full blue, and a county has gone so blue it's sad to see. And the county judge can stand up with that bully pulpit or with the microphone or calling press conferences or bringing attention to things. So we got to make sure CRT is out of all of our schools. And I know that the legislature passed a law to address it, and that's good. I applaud that. But it doesn't stop a lot of radical educators that want to teach it from doing it. So we've got to clean it out of our county, and we've got to tell people about how amazing America is and counter this rhetoric. We also, in the county, and that most people don't want to hear about transportation issues. That's a big chunk of what county government is. The hospital district, that's a big chunk of what county government does. There's lots of functions that the county government does, and we're always for good government. And good government means you're watching the dollars spent like a hawk. You watch it closer than you would watch your own money. And so that's something that I will bring to the table is, I as a lawyer, I watch my client's money like it is my own and guard it. And we got to have that kind of mindset amongst elected officials because it's our money. And sometimes when people stay there too long, they think it's their money. And it isn't. It's other people's money. So it's real easy to spend other people's money. Well, that's not the way you should look at it. And I think a final thing facing our county, now that it's getting close to November, Democrats are slowing it down on this defund the police. All the police are bad because they see it's a loser in a campaign, even amongst their own people. But we got to make sure that Tarrant County is a strong law and order county. In our neighbor to the east in Dallas County, you steal something, as long as you don't use a knife or a gun or a weapon and it's under $750, the DA won't even prosecute you. And, I mean, what kind of lawlessness does that promote? and what kind of chaos does that create? So we are going to be, if I'm elected county judge, we will be a strong law and order county, and it's time to stop this. It's society's fault for every time there's a crime committed. It's the individual's fault, and yes, you may not have had the best upbringing, or no, you may have had some bad breaks, but at the end of the day, we're all responsible for ourselves, and we're going to be tough on crime there if I'm county judge.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time.
Hey, you're welcome. Good to be here always.